Hi guys, in this video we're going to be looking at how to calculate fractions of whole numbers when the numerator is greater than the number 1. So we should already know how to work out, for instance, 1/4 of 12. We're now looking at how to work out 3/4 of 12. So when the top number, the numerator, is more than 1. Now, in this case we're being asked what 3/4 of 12 is. The denominator tells us what we are splitting the number into. So in this case, we're going to be splitting 12 into 4 equal groups. Now last time I showed two ways of doing this. One was involving the counters here, and the other was involving our times tables knowledge. I'm going to start off with the counters. I'm going to split them into our 4 equal groups. So I'm basically dividing 12 by 4. And the answer that I get is 3. There are 3 in each group. However, what that is 1/4 of 12. 1/4 of 12 is 3. But we're not being asked what 1/4 is. We're being asked what 3/4 are. So, if 1/4 is 12, then 2/4 will be 6, and 3/4 will be 9. So the answer to this here is 9. So what I had to do to work this out was I worked out what 1/4 was. So I took 12 and I divided it by 4. I split it into 4 equal groups. And I got the answer of 3. But then I took that answer and I had to times it by 3, because I'm not being asked what 1/4 is, I'm being asked what 3/4 is. So I did 3 times 3, 1, 2, 3, and in total I got the answer 9. Now I could have also done this using my times tables knowledge. So first of all, I would have done my 4 times table up until I got to 12. So I'd go 4, 8, 12. Well, that was 3 stations. So that again tells me that 1/4 of 12 equals 3. So then I can work out that 3/4 of 12 will be 3 times 3, which equals 9. So we can hopefully see how we're working this out. We split it, divide it by the denominator, get our answer, and then times it by whatever the numerator is. Let's look at a different example. Now, in this example, we're being asked what 2/5 of 20 is. So, I'm going to start off by splitting the number 20 into fifths, so into 5 equal groups. Now, for quickness, I'm going to do this using the times tables method to start with. So I'm going to do my 5 times table up until I get to 20. And there we go. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4 stations. So 1/5, I'll write it up here, 1/5 of 20 should equal 4. I'll now show it with the counters just to double check my working. And we see exactly the same thing here, that when we split 20 into 5 equal groups, we end up with 4 in each group. So 1/5 of 20 is 4. But we are not being asked what 1/5 is. We're being asked what 2/5 are. So 2/5 is going to be 2 times bigger than what 1/5 is. So 1/5 was 4. So 2/5 of 20 will be 2 times 4. Therefore, the answer will be 8. 2/5 of 20 is 8. Now, we'll look at one more example in this style here. So this time, it's 5/6 of 18. So this time, I'm going to split 18 up into 6 equal groups. And I'll start with the times table method, do my 6 times table, 6, 12, 18. So the answer to that should be 3. And when we check our answer with the counters, again we see that there are indeed 3 in every group. So 1/6 of 18 is 3. So 5/6 will be 5 times bigger. We're going to be looking at all of these ones here. So 5/6 of 18 will be 5 times this number. So 5 times 3. And so our final answer for this one has to be 15. And if we count up all the counters in this group, indeed we will get the answer 15. So 5/6 of 18 is 15. So let's run through 1 or 2 quick examples using only the times tables method, just to show that we can do that quite quickly. So we're being asked 2/3 of 21. So I'm going to start off with my 3 times table: 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. So 1/3 of 21 is 7. 1/3 of 21 is 7. So 2/3 has to be 2 times 7. So the answer to this one here will be 14. Let's see another one here. So this time we're going to be using our 4 times table, dividing 32 by 4, and then timesing our answer by 3. We're starting to see how we can just apply a strategy here. Basically, divide by the bottom and multiply your answer by the top. So 32 divided by 4, well, I know the answer to that is 8. So to get my final answer, I will need to do 3 times 8. And the answer to 3 times 8 is 24. Lastly, I'm going to do 25 divided by 5, and then times my answer by 4. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. Then I'm going to times it by 4 to get my answer, and the answer here, the answer there is 20. Okay? So the strategy that we have is, first of all, to divide by the denominator. Then times our answer by the numerator. Or as a lot of people like to say, divide by the bottom and then times by the top. Now that strategy is all well and good, but it is really important that we understand why we're doing it, which is why I've shown it broken down in these ways here, where we split our number up into equal groups and then multiply our answer by the numerator afterwards. So that's what we've seen so far. Now let's look at a couple of word problems so that we can actually try applying this in context. So we have here that a scientist is counting the number of creatures on a coral reef. He counts 91 creatures in total. 5/7 of them are fish, and we're being asked how many fish did he count. So in this case, we are basically being asked, what is 5/7 of 91? 5/7 of 91. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 91, divide it by 7, get my answer, and then times my answer by 5. But I'm going to have to do a bit of extra legwork here, because I know that 91 isn't in the 7 times table. So I'm actually going to have to do a separate calculation to work out what 91 divided by 7 is. So step 1 for me, I'm going to do 91 divided by 7, and if you haven't seen our video on division yet, that's well worth having a look so that you understand what this strategy is. So how many 7s, I'll do this in a different colour actually. How many 7s are in 9? Well, there's 1 with 2 left over. How many 7s are in 21? 13. So, in total, 1/7 of 91 is 13. But we're not being asked what 1/7 is. We're being asked what 5/7 are. So I'm going to work out what 5/7 of 91 is. So I will need to do 5 times 13. And for that, again, I'm going to have to do another sum. I'm going to have to do a formal multiplication sum. So I'm going to do 13 times 5. I'll do my working in a different colour again, just to make it clear. So 5 times 3, that is 15. 15 is made up of 5 units and a 10. So I'm going to exchange the 10 up into the tens column. I then do 5 times 1, which is 5. Add on the 1 here, is 6. So our final answer for this calculation is that 65 of them are fish in this problem. Okay, but you can see I had to do a lot of extra legwork. I had to do a formal division sum and a formal multiplication sum in order to arrive at this answer. Finally, we'll look at just one more. So, in this one, there are 45 children in a holiday club. 3/5 of them choose to go swimming for the afternoon. How many will not be swimming? So there's a couple of ways of approaching this one. We could reason that if 3/5 of them are going swimming, then 2/5 of them aren't going swimming. So I could just work out what 2/5 of 45 is, and that would tell me how many are not going swimming. So that's one way of doing it, working out 2/5 of 45. The other way of doing it, and the way that I am going to approach it in this case, is to work out 3/5 of 45, which will be how many children are going swimming, and then take that away from the 45 children to see how many are going to be left. So that's the way I'll do it to start with. So very quickly, we'll do 3/5 of 45. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. Times that answer by 3. And what we get is 27. So 27 of them are going swimming. So that means that if we do 45 take away 27, we'll be left with the remainder. We'll be left with the children who will be staying. So 5 take away 7 we can't do, so I will need to exchange. I move a 10 down into the units column, so I've now got 15. 15 take away 7 is 8. 3 take away 2 is 1. So our final answer is 18. So 18 children are not going swimming. Now we'll try it this way just to double check our answer. So the reasoning here is that if 3/5 of them are going swimming, then 2/5 aren't. So we can check our answer by just working out 2/5 of 45. So that would be 45 divided by 5 is 9. Times it by 2. 2 times 9. And we get our answer 18. So we've arrived at our answer 2 different ways. But both of them have provided the same answer, so we know that it is a reliable answer. So in this video, we've learned that to solve a fraction when the numerator is greater than 1, we first of all have to divide the number by the denominator, by the bottom number. We then have to times our answer by the numerator. And we've learned that all of this can be done using only our times tables facts. So while it can be nice to use counters and split them up into equal groups, it's actually more efficient just to have a good knowledge of our times tables. And then lastly, we examined a couple of word problems and looked at how to apply this learning in the context of a word problem.